Hello and a very good evening. You're now watching TVS News at 5. Let's get into it. The State Disaster Management Committee (SDMC) is setting up a special contact tracing squad as a measure to curb the spread of COVID-19 in Sarawak. SDMC Chairman cum Deputy Chief Minister Dr. Amar Douglas Uga Ambas said the squad will carry out contact tracing working hand in hand with the State Health Department.
According to UGA, SDMC establishment of the squad is one of their strategic plans devised to deal with COVID-19 as well as other viral pandemics in the future. UGA added the committee will assist the health department in conducting tests, providing lab equipment and enforcement.
Mengenakan kawalan ketat sepanjang sempadan untuk mengekang kemasukan pembawa penyakit termasuk haiwan. D. Memperketatkan garis panduan kemasukan ke Sarawak melalui aplikasi online Inter Sarawak dan e-health declaration form dan menyediakan pusat-pusat kuarantin. E. Memperhebat lagi perkongsian maklumat dan kesedaran mengenai bahayanya COVID-19 melalui pelbagai saluran media seperti media cetak, media elektronik, media sosial dan ceramah-ceramah di peringkat akar umbi.
He said this when answering a question from Demak Laut Assemblyman Dr. Hazlan Abang Hipni during the State Legislative Assembly sitting this morning. He called for the cooperation and involvement of every organisation and individual in order to successfully contain the spread of the pandemic.
Meanwhile, the Sarawak government has proposed to upgrade hospitals and facilities in several divisions in the state to treat COVID-19 patients.
According to Deputy Chief Minister Dr. Amar Douglas Uga Ambas, the hospitals proposed to be upgraded include hospitals in Bau, Serian, Siraman, Betong, Serike, Kapit and Limbang. Uga added the proposal has been submitted to the National Security Council for considerations by the federal government. On the state's capacity to conduct RT-PCR COVID-19 tests, Uga said the daily testing capacity was at 1,000 tests in Sarawak General Hospital, 500 at the Sarawak Heart Centre, 300 at Sibu Hospital, 200 at Bintulu Hospital and 400 at Miri Hospital. When asked by the Malawi Assemblyman Dr. Hazlan Abang Hipni on plans to increase the testing capacity, Uga said plans to expand the molecular medical lab in Sarawak General Hospital to other hospitals are in the works.
Kita sekarang kerja negeri telah meluluskan peruntukan untuk membina sebuah makmal molekul perubatan baru di Hospital Limbang. And the job is being done now. And kita berharap kapasiti di Limbang akan kita bagi kepada 200 ujian satu hari. Jadi kalau apabila siap kemudahan di Limbang, maka lawas Limbang tidak perlu pergi ke Miri lagi. Dan Datuk yang dipertua inilah langkah-langkah yang diambil oleh kerajaan GPS untuk menjaga keselamatan rakyat Sarawak. Terima kasih.
The Human Resource Ministry should enlighten employers on the importance of looking after the health status of their workers, especially migrants. It was said that some worker quarters house up to 40 people. A similar situation experienced at detention centers, especially in Sabah.
A high number of illegal immigrants and medical staff being accommodated at their living quarters or temporary detention centres, which can cause COVID-19 to spread fast. Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said one of the causes of COVID-19 among foreign workers was the cramped conditions at each of their quarters and centres. The Prime Minister, who chaired a special meeting of the National Security Council yesterday, said he is aware to the increasing cases of COVID-19 among foreign workers and illegal foreign workers. On swab tests for foreign workers, Muhyiddin said the cost of the screening should be borne by employers. He had directed the relevant agencies to immediately discuss and table this matter at the coming MKN meeting. Muhyiddin also touched on the Standard Operating Procedures (SOP) regarding the number of passengers allowed inside a vehicle at any one time.
A spokesman from the Fire and Rescue Department said the driver of the oil-laden trailer, identified as Indit Lunyong, was killed instantly during the 11 a.m. incident today. Indit was pronounced dead at the scene by medical personnel from Tatao Health Clinic, while the other 3 individuals, including the lorry driver, were unharmed during the collision. Firefighters extricated the deceased, who was pinned to his seat using an airbag and hydraulic ramp. It was later been handed over to the police for further action. 2 individuals buried alive in a landslide which struck a tourist resort in a hilly area in Tambun Ipoh have been found dead this morning. Acting Perak Police Chief Dato' Goh Boon Keng said the body of a man was first found at 9:55 a.m. before another body, that of a woman, was discovered in a jacuzzi of one of the units at the resort. However, the relationship of the 2 victims, who are in their 30s, has yet to be ascertained. Goh said the rescue works in retrieving the bodies had to be postponed several times as there were soil and water movements. Works resumed at 7 a.m. using a backhoe upon advice from the Perak Department of Minerals and Geosciences. The 2 bodies were taken to Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital for post-mortem. Meanwhile, Perak Fire and Rescue Department Director Azmi Osman said a 47-member team was involved in the search and rescue operation to locate the 2 victims, including the K9 unit from the Klang Valley. The 100-meter landslide and the soil and water movements were probably triggered by the heavy rain over the past few days. Welcome back. The Sarawak government will take an inclusive measure to support the recovery of businesses and SMEs. As announced in the proposed State Budget 2021 tabled at the August House yesterday, this will facilitate the recovery of businesses and SMEs that have been severely hit by the pandemic. Chief Minister Dato' Abang Johari said the government will allocate an additional 50 million ringgit to cater for the Sarawak microcredit scheme for 2021 budget. He noted that this year a total of 37 million ringgit had been channeled to the Sarawak microcredit scheme and 17.3 million ringgit under the Special Relief Fund scheme to support SMEs. Abang Johari added the state government will allocate 19 million ringgit for the Special Relief Fund for Interest Subsidy Scheme. This scheme will benefit some 40,000 SMEs statewide with interest-free loans for a period of 3.5 years.
Sarawak Microcredit Scheme that will provide financial assistance to entrepreneurs for their business expansion and diversification. This initiative has been implemented beginning this year with an allocation of 37 million ringgit. Under the 2021 budget, another 50 million ringgit will be provided for this purpose. 2. Special Relief Fund Interest Subsidy Scheme, where the SMEs will enjoy interest-free loans over 3.5 years. This year, a sum of 17.3 million is expected to be disbursed to the participating banks, while under the 2021 budget, 19 million ringgit more will be allocated.
Meanwhile, he said the deferment of loan repayment for Skim Pinjaman Industri Kecil dan Sederhana has benefited 144 borrowers to ease cash flow and lessen SMEs' financial burden. In taking up the monumental task of stimulating state economic growth that was severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2021 state budget will continue to be an expansionary one. However, Chief Minister Abang Johari also ensured that the budget will balance socio-economic development between urban and rural areas.
The focus of the budget will be 1. Development bias budget, 2. Rural bias budget, 3. Paving way for economic recovery, and 4. Improving sustainable living.
Abang Johari explained it is the philosophy of the Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS government that in developing the state, no one will be left behind.
And it is the responsibility of my administration to create an enabling environment for our people to do so. We fully commit ourselves to take care of Sarawak and protect Sarawak from unscrupulous elements. Jaga Sarawak into Sarawak.
Every Sarawakian, no matter who or where they come from, should be able to reap and enjoy the fruits of development.
The public are advised to be prepared for the monsoon season. Heavy rain and strong wind is expected from November to January.
The vaccine has been tested on 43,500 people in 6 countries and no safety concerns have been raised. The companies plan to apply for emergency approval to use the vaccine by the end of the month. No vaccine has gone from the drawing board to being proven highly effective in such a short period of time. There are still huge challenges ahead, but the announcement has been warmly welcomed, with scientists describing themselves smiling ear to ear, and some suggesting life could go back to normal by spring. Also, whenever a vaccine does arrive, initial supplies will be scarce and rationed, with priority likely to be given to healthcare workers and others on the front lines. Pfizer has estimated that 50 million doses of its 2-shot vaccine will be available globally by the end of 2020, which could cover 25 million people.
Well, that's it for now, but for more English news updates, stay tuned to the English Nightline at 11:30 p.m. with Ruben Gomez. I am Razi Ahmad for TVS. Stay safe.